Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Hello.
good morning. We're back. It's AFC Predictions time, baby, and I'm super hyped. How are we all feeling?
My headphones are too tight.
Oh no.
That wasn't what I was
What a
expecting.
sad note on which to start this morning's show. Yeah, like I said, I'm super excited. We're doing our AFC predictions today. It's the first in a two-part show, where next week we'll obviously be doing the NFC.
Yeah.
But for now, let's forget the good
Which is
division.
definitely the more exciting
Yeah,
division,
let's
be
focus on the
honest.
We
boring
could have
one.
shocked everyone and done the CFL instead.
Oh god, yeah.
What, Johnny Manziel's team?
Which truly is atrocious, but
It's kind of like the AFC, isn't it?
The Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, there you go.
Seems a little bit too much like Thundercats, but okay.
We've also got celebrations are in order. A lot has happened since last show. Number one, we finished exams. Yay! But
That must be nice for you.
Liam has not finished
and
marking.
therefore Liam has all the marking to do.
I also turned 21.
Wait, are you 21?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
I'm a year
realise.
older, so
You've taken a year out.
yeah,
Oh, cool.
cracking. That was exciting. That was a fun weekend.
Big weekend.
Big. Well, it wasn't even that big. I was in bed by like midnight.
It was a big weekend. There was a bank holiday.
That's a really late.
Yeah,
that's
big
2
in
hours
terms
late.
of big. Yeah, for you, Grandad.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I put out a tweet about it a couple of days ago. Hopefully you'll saw it because you're following us on Twitter at NFL Elementary.
Well, I am. Don't look at me.
Yeah. Now that the exams are finished, we will have time to start cracking on with the exciting things like our burgeoning YouTube channel. Did someone say?
Are you saying that we
So,
weren't exciting before? I thought we were.
We're just
exciting.
extra excited now because we have the potential of a YouTube channel.
There's nothing like a solid social media presence.
Exactly. So I'm going to try and be sorting that out over the next few weeks, and then hopefully what we can do over
Awesome.
summer is keep providing you with top level UK NFL content. We'll figure out how and when and all the particulars somehow. But yeah, that's the plan.
Radio by students, for students. You are why.
Right, time to begin. Shall we commence with the AFC East because it's boring? Before we start, actually, there is an important message that needs to be said. If you want to get in touch, if you want to lambast us about our predictions, if you want to tell us how wrong we are, if you want to tell us how right I am,
If you want to tell us how New England are going to go Norton 16.
that's very controversial. Stay tuned for the AFC North when Mark will have something controversial. The number to text is 07851 101 313. That's 07851 101 313. You can also send us a message via the website ury.org.uk. We'd love to hear from you. Please do get in touch and tell us how right I am. Moving forward, AFC East. So what we're going to do is go through division by division. Have we all done it? I don't know if Mark's done it with the spreadsheet and predicted every game.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
weirdly.
he has done it. Wow.
He's done it in somewhat of a cack-handed fashion, but he's definitely done it.
So we've got this spreadsheet up in front of us that gives us every single game throughout the season, organised by teams, and we've just gone through and marked out the result of it, not the actual score result of each game, but just in terms of a binary win or lose system. And then from that, we've moved on to get records for the teams, and then from that, we've organised them into their standings. So we're going to go through the standings. I mean, controversial games that we've predicted can get mentioned, but the focus is obviously on the end of season records, not the games themselves, because we'll deal with them each week next year in our predictions segment. How exciting.
Oh, yes.
Right, AFC East. Does anyone not have New England at 1?
No.
It'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This division is actually really interesting for me because I have New England at 13 and 3.
same.
Wow.
12 and 4 I have.
I had them at 12 and 4,
I
but
have
then
them
I
at 11
changed
and
them.
5. I think there's going to
Really?
be a drop off in New England this year. Like,
Who have you got them losing to?
who have I got them losing to? Let's turn over.
I've got them losing to Houston week 1, Green Bay week 9, and Miami week 14.
I have them losing to Jacksonville in week 2. Then they lose to both Green Bay and at Tennessee, and then at Pittsburgh, and that's it.
See,
I had them losing to
I originally
Tennessee as
had
well.
them losing to Tennessee because the best thing in the world that could ever happen is Butler picking Brady to end game for a Tennessee win.
On the
That would
1 yard line.
That would just be fantastic. Yeah, that would be fantastic. I hope that happens. But again, the thing is, though, is every year we kind of go into it thinking, oh, there's going to be less wins this year. There's going to be a couple of surprise losses, and there probably will be. I can easily see Tennessee beating New England this year. They've got really good roster. They're keeping it together. They keep getting better together.
But then that'll happen, and then they'll just go to Pittsburgh and win outrageously.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've got them beating Pittsburgh.
I've still
in the
got New
playoffs.
England
Yeah.
at 13 and 3 because I've got them losing to Green Bay actually, which was a tough one because I wasn't sure.
Brady versus Rodgers.
Yeah,
And
big
I
game.
do prefer
The best quarterback in the league versus the one who plays for Green Bay.
I do prefer New England's roster, but Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I prefer Green Bay's roster because of Aaron Rodgers, but equally, I prefer New England's roster because of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. So
I mean, I think I had them losing to Green Bay because based on my predictions, they won 6 in a row, and they'd probably be like,
Yeah, true.
The interesting thing about the AFCs for me is once you get to New England, you then have some absolute fire.
What is this?
Unbelievable.
This is my fire alert, which will go on loop as I go through the next 3 teams. We've got Buffalo at 4-12 in the second spot. We've got Miami at 3-13 in the third spot. And we've got New York Jets at 3-13 in the fourth spot. I.e., other than New England, there will only be 10 wins in the rest of the division.
See,
I've gone a different way.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Also, I didn't realise that fire effect would loop. I didn't set it to loop.
I have Buffalo and Miami at 6 and 10 because I feel like they'll just
That's
stumble
ambitious.
the ways there, and then the Jets with a gentleman's 4-12.
I tried to be nice to the Jets, I really did.
I tried to, and I've got New England, Miami, Buffalo, Jets in a pretty similar fashion to you, except I've got the Jets at 2-14, the Bills at 3-13, and the Dolphins at 4-12, and I expect them probably to get more wins than that. But I think that's a pretty standard order. I think Miami haven't done enough this offseason to get me too excited because it is just still Miami. Whereas Buffalo, I think, have taken a step back with McCarron.
They got Fitzpatrick, didn't they, Miami?
Yeah,
which is obviously big, but not the main
Jets,
position in the league.
The Jets had to give up so much to move up to third, and they might have gotten Darnold, but I don't foresee him playing this year.
No.
And then they didn't get much else.
I think my logic for the Dolphins getting as many wins as they did is that it's an awful climate for teams that aren't used to it to go playing, and they play a lot of teams that are based in the north. So, and they always beat New England.
I've got them beating New England in Miami.
You know, so maybe, I mean, I've taken into account the weather way too much in these predictions. Honestly,
Could just be a nice day in Miami, and all of a sudden no one wins.
See, I've got Buffalo going 8-8, just so I feel that is like just so atypical of Buffalo. I feel that they are.
Which way did you? So did you work by doing the results and then getting a prediction, or making a prediction and then fixing the results around that prediction?
I did results, but sort of as it got near the end, when there were like 1 or 2 left, I'd look at what their thing was and think,
start doctoring.
Do they need to add do I need to add a couple of wins to make it seem a bit more reasonable?
Well, this is why when I got to the end of my alphabetical list, I was like, oh my, I'm going to have to help Washington out a bit here because currently they have none of the wins.
Yeah, I didn't help Washington out at all. We'll get onto that next week.
I also tried to add in some just road games where I wouldn't necessarily put them to win, but just because of the way the NFL works. And
that's
injuries.
the thing. Like, you can do all these predictions, but that come game, anything could happen. So, like, for instance, I think the Chargers play Buffalo in week 2 or something, and obviously last year, if we remember, Nathan Peterman got chucked out there, and 5 interceptions later, and he all of a sudden wasn't playing.
Came back in.
So obviously, I'm not expecting the same sort of abysmal performance.
It's only 4 interceptions from AJ McCarron.
It would be typical for Buffalo this year to come out and absolutely slaughter the Chargers, but looking at the schedules for all 3 of these teams, they're so tough. Ironically, I'd say that the team with the best schedule is the Patriots. And I don't know if that's just because of the Patriots, but they have some games that I'm like, they're just going to cruise
through it. It's kind of just
it.
by virtue of being the Patriots, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they got home games against Miami, Indy, and Kansas City in consecutive weeks.
I've got them losing against Indy, just because I think it'll just be one of those games.
The thing I'm swiftly learning about Mark and his predicting abilities is that Mystic Mark would not be a title I would assign to you.
No.
It's just Andrew
Mental
Luck
Mark
maybe
may be
back.
more
He
I
may
wouldn't pay you 40 an
do
hour.
may do something funny, you know.
I wouldn't pay anyone 40 an hour.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that would be a great story, especially if like something had happened to the offense and McDaniels just had to stand there on the sideline like, oh. But it's not going to happen.
No.
Also take into the fact that Gronkowski could get injured at any week, and then we'll see.
You
if
could say
he-
that about any
That
player,
is
though.
not even worthy of a prediction. We just know that's going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
Or he might just get bored and
It's
just
just-
quit halfway through a match. Just walk off and be like, yeah, no, I'm going to my yacht, sorry.
He'll just spike it and then leave. Walk out.
In the changing room, I'm done, boys.
See you, lads.
So just quickly coming up with kind of a consensus top 4 basically the AFC East and the AFC North are kind of boring, so we're going to do them first, and the real juicy stuff's in the South and the West, so we're saving them
I
till
thought the
last.
South was a real good league.
So for the East, New England first. That's fairly consensus.
Jets last.
Jets last is
And then
consensus.
you could throw it up in the air and see where the other two lie.
I think Buffalo probably has the best roster,
I'd say Buffalo over Miami.
or
Yeah, so-
more consistent roster.
Yeah.
But then
Probably.
Carolina
I would
2.0.
prefer.
You got the Carolina's old coach. They've got Carolina's old general manager. We've got like 4 or 5 of Carolina's old players.
Yeah.
Carolina 2.0, which New York Giants are swiftly becoming Carolina 3.0. So, you know, we're spreading, boys.
I prefer
Maybe that's why they're
Tannehill
all
over
doing so
McCarron,
badly.
so I pick Dolphins over Bills. But
I mean,
You'd pick Dolphin over.
but then again, McCarron is a big question mark. We've not really seen him do much
He
before.
could be a goat.
he could just have.
Can you imagine after all that trading they did for Allen and McCarron just lights it up?
Probably just
It'd be
hand
perfect,
the ball
wouldn't
off to Shady and hope for the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's probably what Allen will do as well. And every so often just throw one like 100 yards and score a field goal.
Do you reckon that they should have that in the game just for Josh Allen?
It's kind of like a
Throwing
drop
field
kick in
goals.
rugby, isn't it?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, see how far you,
You
can
could say
throw
it's
it.
like 2 points, kind of like a safety.
So
There's a NFL rule change that we would like
What,
to see.
throw it in between
Throw
the
it in
posts?
between the posts for 2 points.
So what we've learned there is, it's New England +3, and we don't really mind about those
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, for now
I've
anyway.
got none of them making the playoffs, so they're kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, same.
Well, other than New England,
Unless
obviously.
you get into,
Oh yeah.
unless you
Irrelevant.
if you can make the playoffs 6 and 10, then Man City, I don't think they will.
Right, moving on. AFC North. I'll quickly run through mine, and we can spark a discussion off of that. Pittsburgh 12-4 on top. Feel like that's probably consensus. Then I've got Baltimore going 9-7, Cincinnati going 3-13, and Cleveland going 3-13. Which actually is, I didn't know I had Cleveland at
Wrong.
3-13.
I feel like
That's so. Oh no, they're 2 and
I've done a
14.
number on this entire division because I have Pittsburgh winning it at 9-7, and then I have Cleveland propping up the basement with a glorious 4-12 for them.
That's more generous than mine.
Yeah, and then the other 2 teams I have both at 6 and 10. So it's another case of, Pittsburgh in, the rest average.
Which is basically the way it's been for I don't know how many years now. I mean, it's more boring than the
Well,
East.
Baltimore had their phase,
But it never really
and
challenged
Cincinnati won the
Pittsburgh.
division.
Don't you just look at the North and you go, man, that is so boring. Who cares? Who actually cares?
I care about the Ravens now with the Lamar
yeah.
Jackson
Yeah,
coming
But he
in.
won't be playing
in
much
a few
this
years.
season,
That's fine.
if at all.
Do you know
But
what
that'll be when it's Lamar Jackson against Mason Rudolph.
My
Like,
predictions for Baltimore was that they win games 1 and 3 against Buffalo and Denver, and then lose 6 weeks in a row.
yeah.
Because then Lamar comes in and they beat Cincinnati and beat Oakland.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that. I don't know. Would you chuck him in this early? I don't think they would. How bad would it have to get?
Well, apparently, based on my predictions, 2 and 6.
Well, they've been
after
there
the
before.
bye.
A couple of years ago, I think they finished 5-11, and
Yeah.
they're still sticking by. So I don't know. But
See, I've gone down a different route. I've got Cleveland going 9-7,
Oh,
just
dear.
because
How?
I feel that they're just going to turn
Enlighten
things
me.
around. They've got, don't they have Jarvis Landry in the backfield now? Don't they?
Well, they have it. Yeah, they're going.
And they've
And he believes he's the best receiver in the league.
maybe not, but he did win the Pro Bowl, so he's clearly.
I mean,
he won the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Clearly, he is the best receiver
ever.
It was in dodgeball.
Is this
as well.
Jarvis Landry?
Yeah. So I think that they're just going to.
You think
turn
Jarvis
it around.
Landry is the best receiver?
No.
I was going to say.
No, because he won the Pro Bowl.
he won the Pro Bowl.
He won the dodgeball.
Well,
He's genuinely not the best receiver on his team because Flash is, if he's not.
I don't even think he's the second best receiver on his team. I don't even think he's the third best receiver. No, he's probably.
Well, I mean, in fairness, if they chose Baker to go in, they'd just win everything. But they're not going to.
I feel that Tyrod isn't bad enough that they won't go 9-7.
Personally, I don't think Tyrod's bad at all. I'm just struggling to look at games.
Who are they beating?
Who are they
Let's
beating?
walk through this.
Let's walk through this. So I have got I haven't done this well enough that I can easily work.
I mean, I have them beating the Jets, then the Ravens, then the Chargers.
Chargers?
And then they beat Cincinnati.
Where is the love for the Chargers?
Then they beat Cincinnati right at the very end.
My
in
logic
week.
with agreeing with the Chargers was that's the last team they beat. and it's pretty much the same team.
I've got Cleveland
Why
beating
not?
Pittsburgh week 1, just because I reckon Pittsburgh and Big Ben are going to come back rusty, and
And
Cleveland's
Rusty Burger.
going to come out of nowhere and beat them, and everyone's going to be like, "Whoa, Cleveland going to go 16-0."
I can see that happening. Not the 16-0, but I can see
No, people
Cleveland
saying
winning in
that,
week
and then
1.
they're just going to.
But there's
and
no way they beat
lost-
New Orleans in New Orleans.
No.
I've got them beating the Jets,
Got
sure.
them beating the
Yeah.
Jets. Don't have them beating that. The next win is week 5 against Baltimore.
No.
I haven't.
Is that in Baltimore?
Yeah.
No
No,
way.
it's
They
at
go
home.
into Baltimore.
No,
and
that's
beat
at
them.
home.
Oh, if it's in Cleveland, then yeah.
Week 5 is in. Oh
No,
no, yeah,
and
sorry.
that's why I have them
Sugar.
beating the Chargers as well, because it's at home. I mean, granted, my weather predictions. I'm like, it's not
It's
that
going to be
cold in
frosty,
October.
so that means Cleveland
It's
will
gonna be a
win.
mild morning frost in Cleveland in October.
Wait, what? Okay, no, I thought I put Cleveland beating Pittsburgh again. I don't have them beating Pittsburgh again.
Imagine Cleveland do the double over Pittsburgh. That's more realistic than Cleveland going
It's
9-7.
LeBron signing for the
I've got them beating the Chargers. I think I've got them losing to Tampa.
Don't look at me like that. That is a high possibility.
How have you predicted that?
Nah, I'm telling you now.
Yeah,
if
I feel
Cleveland
that-
go out and beat Tampa, I'm done. I'm really done.
Yeah, I just feel that they're gonna turn
Well,
around.
I mean,
and-
Cleveland on the way to a 9-7
An
record.
average
That's eminently
Yeah.
feasible.
But yeah.
Cleveland are not an average team.
The thing is with like Pittsburgh, I can see them beating Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh are just so
But
talented.
it'd just be week 1, like as a sort of freak upset. It's not like I'm predicting that Cleveland
Freak
are
upset,
a better team.
I think
It's just I think that
Yeah, but you're
like-
predicting like a whole season
this
of
is the
freak
thing.
upsets.
This is the thing. Like,
That ceases to be freak when you're predicting it every 5
I
minutes.
think because we're so used to them losing all these games, that I think particularly the first half of the season, every game they do win is going to be a shock horror.
It's gonna be a celebration. There'll be a parade.
Yeah, when I was sitting there going through Cleveland, I don't think they're a 2-14 team. I think that the changes they've made, as long as Hugh Jackson's there, they will not go above 0.5. That's a fact. But I think they're a good enough team to get more than 2 wins. But equally, when I sat there and went through the games, I couldn't find more than 2 games where I thought, yeah, I'm confident predicting a Cleveland win.
But I think that's the point.
And the fact
though.
that I even picked 2 games is probably too much.
Honestly, Jets. Similarly, like I had like the Jets win that I gave them in week 3, and then the win over the Bengals at home in the penultimate week of the
Yeah,
season.
I have those 2.
They were the 2 I was like, okay, they'll get those
Yeah.
because probably they'll have a terrible record and they'll give it the beans in the penultimate
Yeah.
week. And that's it.
And that is the point with these, like, even to a degree, the Eagles last year, coming in from a 7-9 record. I mean, they've got an ultra talented team, but at the end of the day, all we knew about that team was 7-9.
yeah.
So the same thing will happen.
Kind of applies
But
here.
obviously, the problem is we're so used to other teams that winning more. So if Cleveland are going to start winning, that means teams are going to start losing. And in the North, that's obviously going to happen because they're just so boring and they're so mediocre that why not? But
which is why I have Pittsburgh in at 9-7.
Yeah.
And the thing
That's
as well,
division winning at 9-7.
if teams playing Cleveland underestimate them, which I foresee they will,
Yeah.
that could be the trap that they lead themselves in.
Yeah. I in terms of Cincinnati, I think I've been too generous with them, giving them 5-12. Like
5-12.
yeah, I feel
How did they get to 12?
5 wins, 12 losses.
There's only
There's only 16 games.
Do you know?
I know Cincinnati.
You can't even have the excuse of like, I was up all night last night doing this, that, and the other. Exams are over, Mark. Come on.
I mean, I have them 6-10. So
Cincinnati.
I got them going 5-12.
Did you skip their bye week?
No,
Did you have them losing their bye week? Because I know they're bad, but
No, they have got a bye week, I think.
they definitely do.
it's a rule. See, this is where your formatting falls down.
Now, in fairness, we know
Oh no, I've
that.
got them going 4-12. It was just a typo across.
Okay. Well, 4-12.
I
can get on
have
board with
Cincinnati at 3-13. I think it's the most Cincinnati thing that we've been talking about the AFC North for 12 minutes now, and they've only just been mentioned.
that. Yeah. Well, that's because Marvin Lewis, boring.
Do you not?
Cincinnati,
A brief side
boring.
note. Do you not think Liam evokes memories of Andy Dalton?
What, in the fact that I've got
You're ginger
Ginger
And the
And-
quarterback.
yeah.
and well,
and quite Dalton-esque.
Who would you pick, Dalton
Or Liam.
Liam?
Well, I know Liam can run the QB sneak, so
yeah. I mean, I'd pick Dalton at the moment by virtue of the fact that he's got 2 working knees, but that's all that's edging it for him.
R.I.P. Liam.
I still
News.
reckon you could throw to AJ Green better than
I could throw to AJ Green better than Andy Dalton, and I can't even throw a ball more than 20 yards. But anyway, that's the point. Coming down
I think I was underestimating that. I think we were throwing it more than 20 yards. But anyway.
Yeah, I'd say that was basically like a good 40-50 considering the wind. For those of you who don't know...
You were not throwing it 50 yards.
Considering wind.
I have no knowledge of this endeavour, but you absolutely were not throwing it 50 yards.
I reckon 70 on a good day.
70 yards, yeah, okay. Maybe down a
Do you
hill.
know what? I reckon if I stood in one end zone, I could probably just touch the other end zone.
With your hands. Like lying down and just tap it. I feel that would be more likely than you being able to throw that
A micro
distance.
pitch. Getting back to it anyway, AFC North. So Pittsburgh at 1, Baltimore at 2. That's fairly consensus.
Yeah.
No, I've got Pittsburgh,
I
Cleveland,
don't...
Cleveland are not going at 2. Cleveland at the bottom.
In fantasy,
Baltimore
I think
8 and 8.
Baltimore will come second. Cleveland will come a close third.
I've only
To
got one
Cleveland
in
or to Cincinnati?
To Baltimore. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see Cleveland finishing somewhere like 7 and 9, which would be close to Baltimore because Baltimore.
I'm happy to put Cleveland at 3, but only by virtue of how bad Cincinnati are, not by virtue of how good Cleveland are.
I feel like the fact that I've given Cleveland a 4-12 season and that would be seen as a success in Cleveland tells me all I need to know about Cleveland. Like, but there, again, it's Pittsburgh and then the 3 irrelevant because I don't have any of them making the playoffs. So.
We could be following the same logic though, you know, like how every year, the Patriots will do bad this year. Every year it's like, the Browns will do good this year, and it's the same story every year. So,
And as long as Hugh Jackson's there, nothing's going to change.
the thing is though, is if it doesn't work this year, then I have no idea what they can do.
Sack Hugh Jackson. Why did they not
It's
do
not
that
even
last
Hugh
year?
Jackson. With
It
the
is.
talent that they have, there is no excuse.
I
There
feel
is no
that they
excuse.
just
There
need
is the
to
excuse
sell
of
their
Hugh Jackson.
And in
franchise and
fairness,
start it
Hugh
in London.
Jackson,
Have you seen
hate
how
on
he
him
uses-
too much. You hate on him too much.
I do not.
You do.
Have you seen how he uses Jabril Peppers? It's Greg Williams. Is it Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator? Used to be at the Rams, the big shouty man.
Yeah, he used to
the
be
way
defensive
he
coordinator
uses-
for the New Orleans
Yeah,
Saints.
the banner put the bounties on players.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you seen how he uses Jabril Peppers? So Jabril Peppers obviously is an incredible athlete. He was way overdrafted by the Browns. It's fairly fair to say at this stage.
Yeah.
Fairly fair to say. Very quick, very strong. They're playing him in some kind of safety role, but they put him 30 yards away from the line of scrimmage as their deep safety, and then get beat over the top because he has no coverage skills. And then if any wrong breaks through, then it's going for 20 yards anyway because it gets to 20 yards by the time Jabril Peppers gets to him.
Yeah.
And then they sit and wonder why they can't defend against the big runs, why they can't defend against the big passes. It's because you're wasting one of your most athletic players on defense in some weird deep role.
He's a strong safety, run stopping strong safety.
Yeah, like an in the box middle
Or
linebacker.
a nickel corner is where I would play it. Like, I'd
Yeah,
position him
he was
playing.
way
'Cause he can
overdrafted.
cover, but he's not a primary corner. He
Not at all.
can cover a tight end. He can cover a slot.
I'd like to see him try and pass rush or something maybe. I know he's not got the size, but he's got the speed at least.
Yeah, I mean,
On
I
nickel blitzers and things like that.
I think he's the kind of player who, when used properly, could be great. But if you're playing him at deep free safety, I would suggest that he's not using
but
him
he's
properly.
woefully out of his depth, and that then makes the defense 11 versus 10, and in no scheme is that going to work really.
But I'm hoping this year that sort of Cleveland get their... So they have got a really talented roster, but get those players known, like, because all the Browns players, unless you really like look into it, you don't really know their players. They kind of disappear into Cleveland and just
In fairness,
get forgotten.
You'd argue that actually their most known players right now are the players they've just brought in.
I feel that their most known players are the ones that they've that have done badly, like Johnny Manziel. and
Well,
all
I guess
that.
Joe Thomas,
Yeah, in fairness.
like
With his, very, very good, obviously great player, but no winning seasons ever. Bless
Yeah, I
him.
know.
Oh.
poor fella.
I hope he got paid well, and he can
I'm
just
sure
go
he
home
did.
and be
Then
like,
they rejigged his contract, so he got like all the signing bonus he was due for the next 2 years in this one off season. Shout out Joe Thomas. If you ever want to come on the show, he does have a podcast with I don't think it might be Pat McAfee. I don't know.
I mean,
He's got some kind of podcast. Yeah.
He does talk a lot of sense, Joe.
Yeah. So if you ever want to come on, Joe, please do. Right. So our final AFC North standings, I'm going to call it here. Pittsburgh 1, Baltimore 2. I'm happy to put Cleveland at 3.
Yeah.
Whether they're close to Baltimore or close to Cincinnati
I mean,
is up in the air.
It's 6 and 2-3, isn't it? Because those 3 aren't getting in. So
And then Cincinnati propping up the division. Right.
You are why.
Are we
It
ready?
was a
This
song.
is where things get interesting. This is where we've done all the boring stuff. Or
Oh, there you go.
a radio version. We've done the we've done the boring ones where we all know vaguely the kind of order. We all know New England and Pittsburgh are likely the only teams going through to the playoffs from those two divisions. But we don't know about the AFC West and the AFC South. That's where the interest is in the AFC this year. So we're going to start with the AFC West, and I'm going to put my stick in the ground. The Chargers are winning the division, and they're going to the playoffs on a 10-6 record.
Oh, this is outrageous.
I agree.
Thanks, Max.
I
We
agree.
never agree on this show.
To be fair, I have
That
got
should
10
tell you something.
I've got 10-6 as the winning roster. Just going to Denver instead.
Oh, I mean,
I've got Denver coming second at 10-6, and the tiebreaker, I believe, being strength of schedule.
Wow.
The Chargers
have a tougher
schedule.
Yeah.
They finished much better last year.
I've got Denver second at 9-7. I'll try to be nice to them. I think they're a good team. Chubb will be like an instant plug in and play, win now kind of thing. I like Case Keenum. I like the kind of future revamp they've done of their wide receiver core, where it doesn't need to be next season they'll change, but in 2 or 3 seasons they'll have hopefully.
Is it Cortland Sutton?
Cortland Sutton and.
There is another guy.
Yeah, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I like both of them. I thought they were good picks for the future. And obviously they've got Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas right now, so they don't need wide receivers.
And I think this will be the season that Case Keenum proves he's
the
a top
whole
10
roster
QB.
is just a little bit.
He's a top 10 QB.
oh, behave.
The
He's
whole
gonna
roster, I
prove
think,
it.
is typified by Keenum. It's a good roster. Don't get me wrong. But there's just something where it's not like it's not got that superstar quality. It's got Von Miller and Bradley Chubb.
They've gone for the model that won them.
Yeah,
the
pass
Super Bowl,
rush,
which is solid defense and
serviceable quarterback.
Yeah, serviceable quarterback play. Don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't help but think there's a glaring omission here. In that, are we not completely discounting KC?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
8-8.
I've got them in 8-8 coming third, but the thing is with
I've got
Kansas
5
City,
and 11.
5 and 11.
I've got them as the same as Cincinnati.
I have all 3 of those teams making the playoffs by virtue of how bad things are. But I have KC.
Really?
I have KC winning the division.
More on that, not AFC South.
I have KFC.
Andy Reid.
I have KC winning the division at 30-3.
Of course, Andy Reid would manage a team for KFC.
Unbelievable. Denver 10-6, and then the Chargers with a solid 8-8. But by
Chargers
virtue of how bad
solid
things
8-8.
are, they get in.
Really?
I've also
what?
got Oakland finishing 8-8, but coming fourth. The
That's
only
crazy.
reason is this: they have a very, very tough start to the season. I think it will go bad, but there is a stretch towards the end where I think it's a matter of they have to, not that they will. They just have to, because if they don't, then literally all the money put into this, all the hype around it, everything that's been set up to get Gruden back, to get them to where they supposedly want to be before they head to Vegas, it has to work.
Oakland 3-13, calling it.
There is no way they fall
Yeah,
to
5 and 11.
3-14.
I have them 3-13.
There's no way they fall that far.
The
You
only
have
teams
Oakland on a worse record than Cleveland.
I actually do, yeah.
No, me and Liam said, you're 4-12, aren't you?
I'm
no,
4 and 12,
3-13,
yeah.
and I said 5 and 11. I was like, oh, good, like that's 2 solid appeals. And Mark said 4 and 12, and I was like, hang on, I need to reevaluate. Something's gone wrong here. If Mark's agreeing with me, Oakland 16-0.
I don't think Oakland are that bad. They didn't do what they, in my opinion, should have done in the off season. But then again, no team typically does what I think they should do, and they end up okay.
I've got them starting 4-4.
I mean,
and then finishing 5 and 11.
And in fairness, I do have them coming last. It's not like I've got them winning the division at 8-8 or something. Like,
yeah, but I looked at it, it's like, okay, they're playing the Rams, so that's a loss. Then they go to Denver, then they go to Miami, and then they play Cleveland at home, and then they're at LA, then they're at Seattle, then they're into the bye. And you're like, okay, that's.
I think Seattle's one of their wins.
That's a 2 and 4 start.
I mean, we'll talk about that next week, but Seattle, I've got
Of
absolutely
course you
flopping.
do, you big Rams head.
I am. I've got them winning the Super Bowl, so
Seattle.
God, do you know, it's almost like listening to me and the Panthers.
I think it's completely
It's
reasonable.
great not having a team because you can be completely objective.
We were talking about you need to pick a team.
No, I've not
You
picked
need
a
to
team.
pick a team.
If I've not picked a team.
Okay, Liam's team is now officially the Bengals by virtue of
Do you know what?
Dalton 2.0.
Please no.
Please pick a better
Well,
team.
let's give him
I
a
think
team. I feel like it should be.
I don't.
It needs to be an NFC West team because
But-
then we've got 2 NFC South and 2 NFC
As
West.
I've explained,
Arizona?
my experience of supporting teams in other sports has ruined the sport for me.
Yeah, I
Leeds
see what you
United
mean.
ruined football. The Anaheim Ducks have ruined hockey, and so
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
man,
going to
those
go
Ducks, oh,
into quackers.
quack.
Sorry.
You're like a walk. You know when you're a kid and you get them little toys, and it has all the buttons on it, and if you push a button, like you can get like a Doctor Who on it, and it has all the Doctor Who special effects on it. You're like one of them, except your range of buttons is endless, and I can just ask you to make a noise, and I'm sure it will happen. Cow. Pig. Dolphin.
Oh, lovely.
Bronco.
It's a horse.
There we go. That was the Broncos to signify that Denver will finish at 9 and 7 and
10 and
second in the
6.
division.
The thing is with this division, I think unless you discount Oakland, I think all three of those teams could easily come first, but could easily come third.
Was your logic on KC the fact that it's now Mahomes, not Smith?
No.
Do you know what? It's genuinely not.
No, I actually think Pat Mahomes in the long run will bring more excitement and what's the word?
Dynamism.
Yeah.
There'll be games where Smith would have won based on him being Alex Smith and all the experience and the game manager title he's been given, and Mahomes in his kind of gunslinger way will do something wrong. But I don't think that's the reason they go 8 and 8. That might be the reason they lose one game. I think they have a tough schedule. B, I needed to find a win for Cincinnati somewhere, so I gave them Kansas City. And I can see them going 9 and 7. I've probably been too harsh. They should beat Cincinnati at home. But I don't know. I'm never really very big on KC. A team who doesn't do well in the playoffs.
Yeah, but
can't really
be consistently regular season solid. I'm not saying that's.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you'd want.
Well, they're consistently first half of regular season solid.
See, I didn't really.
And then they just
consider
which interesting.
It'll be enough, isn't it? I feel like Andy Reid's enough for them to get there. And
I've got them finishing the season 7 and 2. So starting 1 and 6, would that be? Yeah, and then finishing 7 and 2. Their only win in the first 7 weeks is coming at San Francisco, which I might change. But like at Chargers, loss. At Pittsburgh, loss. Giving them San Francisco, which in itself is generous. At Denver, loss. Jacksonville at home, loss. At New England, loss. Cincinnati, probable win. That's
it's a tough
like
schedule.
2 and 6 instantly.
I feel that I didn't really take into account Kareem Hunt, but I feel that he could very easily do what Gurley did, where you can argue it was Jeff Fisher, but where teams
Jeff Fisher.
See the tape, and then because it hasn't changed and it's still Kareem Hunt, that teams kind of know what to expect. And
I think there's a bit of a difference in the sense that the Rams had literally no option but Gurley because it was Fisher's offense, and Goff wasn't ready, and Keenum wasn't the Keenum we know from last year.
Yeah.
No.
But mainly it was basically what we've seen is Goff be good for a year, Keenum be good in the same season, and the NFL not have Jeff Fisher. So what does that tell you the problem was?
Clearly, Jeff Fisher was the mind behind it all. He should have all the credit.
I suppose my only problem with
Jeff
Kansas City is just it's so, I don't know if a word would be apathy at this point, but you just get tired of them doing well and then failing and then doing well again and failing. You're just waiting and waiting. I suppose the only good thing I suppose is Mahomes is going to do something. But
Bringing back one of our classic segments, a Would You Rather. Do you remember the jingle for Would You Rather?
Oh,
it's the deep voice.
Yeah.
Do it.
Would you rather?
You've got to do that. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Are you Duff Man?
Would you rather be a Kansas fan or, let's say, a Cleveland fan? Because I feel like Cleveland has a certain romanticism of woefulness to them.
If you're a Browns fan, you can probably be a Cavs fan. And
then you like LeBron.
Yeah, it gives you a bit of LeBron.
LeBron James.
Yeah, I think
LeBron
Cleveland seem to have like an exciting future, and even if it never comes to fruition, it's always kind of like you said, that romanticism. But I feel that Kansas City is just a bit like you just get crushed each year. It's just you get ground down.
Your spirit does at the end.
Speaking as the only neutral fan, Liam, who would you pick?
If I had to be a fan of one of the two,
yeah.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it?
But think Cleveland, your team's definitely going to do better this year.
I personally, I think I'd probably, if I had to, I'd go with KC, and that's more because of KC's kind of. I like Andy Reid despite his inabilities in the post.
The Dust Bowl, down to earth, hard-working people. I like
Eric Berry a lot.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. He was out for all of last season. He's coming back, but then equally losing
also
your man Marcus Peters.
Don't they have a tackle who's like a qualified doctor or approaching being a qualified doctor who's also Canadian, which is probably my greatest combo of all time. So I'm on board just for that.
Canadian Doctor Tackle.
Just sort of breaks his own leg and repairs
Canadian
it
Doctor Tackle.
Yeah.
He's going to have MD on the back of his jersey.
Really?
Yeah, that's his plan.
That's so cool.
That would be cool. Right, so coming to a decision on the AFC West, then we've got the Chargers at 10-6.
Denver. No.
I feel like I'm the outlier here because you guys have all gone the same way.
I've got Denver.
No, but I have KC.
You have KC?
Yeah, you've all been to KC, and I have it going KC, Denver.
This is the thing,
Chargers.
I can see it all happening, but I guess I have to go with what I've gone with, which is Chargers at 1.
Oh.
But bear in mind, I had them tying.
But based on the hatchet job I've done on the entire schedules, like my 8 and 8 Chargers get in. So,
Oh, God.
So, you know.
Well, Chargers, then Denver. Oh, it's a tough division, isn't
The
it?
thing is with the Chargers as well, is it's almost like a make or break year, because how much longer can Phillip Rivers keep going? And they don't necessarily have anyone next in line step up.
Yeah.
So this is almost like Rivers
It's like
in the
a
next
win now
couple
kind
of
of thing,
years.
isn't it? Yeah.
If he doesn't do it now, he never will. So he's got that connection with Keenan Allen all of a sudden, got a great running game. They finally put a safety in there, Derwin James.
Yeah.
That defense is complete.
That secondary is
Forgot about Derwin
stacked.
James.
The only problem, I guess, is they've just lost a tight end after getting rid of a tight end earlier on because he was too injury prone.
No, Antonio Gates is back yet.
So
No, is he still a free agent? I feel like he is. Sign him back, Chargers right now. Get him on like a
Give him a ring.
1 year deal. Yeah,
He's available.
he deserves it.
I think I did see that it was available.
So it'll be top 3 will be Chargers, Denver, Kansas City, though not necessarily in that order, and then
see you
propping up the division at 4. Arguably the strongest team in the division.
What, Oakland?
Oakland?
Because they're holding all the others up. Ding that bell, Mark. Oh gosh. That kind of sums up the joke, doesn't it?
I'm glad that broke.
Thanks, Max.
Well, I want a statistic over the course of the season for how many times Oakland run Spider 2 or Y banana.
Spider 2, Y banana.
Whenever the fullback's in, you're like, it's going to be Spider 2, Y banana. It's going to be.
You are why.
Moving forward, the big one, the AFC South. Well, for me, it's the big one anyway. I have the 2 wild cards coming from this division.
See, I have one team that misses out on the wild cards purely because they lost to the wild card team in the other division.
Which was
So I have Houston
Denver?
losing to Denver, which is why Denver go through, but Houston has the same record.
You don't have Houston going into the playoffs.
I have Houston.
Mark and his Deshaun Watsonized mind cannot hack this.
No, I have Houston in. But
I have Houston
again,
there.
I had the Chargers getting in the 3rd spot from the last because my results for some teams are so bad.
So I've got Tennessee winning the division at 12-4.
Unbelievable. No.
They were 13-3 until
agree.
I gave New England the win against them.
In the
Not
words
happening.
of Liam, unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
That is unbelievable.
I've got
Not having it.
Jacksonville in 2nd at 11-5, and I've got Houston in 3rd at 10-6, and then just like the Oakland of the South, Indianapolis at 5-11.
See, I've got it similar, but I've got Jackson at 13 and Jacksonville at 13-3, which actually surprised me because I remember saying a few weeks ago they'll struggle because they'll have a tougher schedule. But actually, looking at their schedule,
It wasn't that bad, was it?
no, they've got a pretty okay schedule. If Blake Bortles can keep it together, which I think he can, I think they can do well.
I have them 13-3 as well.
I've got Tennessee.
Incorrect.
Wrong.
I've got
3 against 1, 13-3.
What's that? Can you hear that in the background? That's the loop of an incorrect answer because that was 3, which signifies the 3 of you.
I've then got Tennessee coming in at 2nd at 10-6 and taking the wild card
At
spot.
Tennessee and
I
6th.
did.
Flip that round and that's
I have Houston 9-7, and then I have to. I'm looking at it. I've really done a number on Tennessee actually.
So have I. 6 and 10.
6 and 10.
6 and 10.
How? They've got such a stature. Like, my mind is
I
saying,
think it's
Colin,
on-
what are you on about? They've got Mariota as their quarterback. He's like the 26th best quarterback in the league.
He's better than you
It's
think.
just a lack of trust. I think for me, it's a lack of trust in Mariota actually. Like,
I mean, I'm fully with you on the Mariota thing, but
but
equally,
I just
they've got
see-
such an easy schedule.
I just see that, you know,
Miami, Houston, Buffalo, Baltimore, Chargers, Dallas, Indianapolis, Jets, Jacksonville, Giants, Washington, Indianapolis. Like that, those last 5 games, excluding Jacksonville, which would be a big game. That's 4 easy wins.
The thing as well is they only picked 4 times in the draft, but they picked 4 really good picks. They also bring in Malcolm Butler. They bring in Deion Lewis.
Yeah.
I feel like
I feel like
they have the best roster they've had in a very
Can
long
we all
time.
agree that India pasted to the bottom because I have them pasted to the bottom.
I've got them at 6 and 10.
I've got
11. Yeah,
I've gone rogue. I've got 9 and 7.
I have them 3 and 13.
Of course, you've got them at 9 and 7.
I've
Why
got
would you have
3
them
and
9 and 7?
13 indeed.
Because I think that Andrew Luck might do some
See,
stuff.
this is the thing.
Well,
I think I could.
He might get some vibranium and come back. It's not going to happen.
This is the thing. The only reason I have him at as high as 6 and 10 is because of Andrew Luck. I feel like he will literally have to drag them out of a couple of games, but 6 and 10 is as far as I see it happening.
I don't know. I feel like they were just a victim of the 3 much better teams ahead of them. I like Indianapolis. I like, obviously, well, I don't like Andrew Luck, but I've been told to like Andrew Luck, so I shall like Andrew Luck. I think that T.Y. Hilton, as much as he's overhyped as hell, is a good number 1 wide receiver and a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. And I think that defense is definitely coming along. And do you know what? Half the reason I'm so hyped about him is Quentin Nelson on the O-line. That is like stacked. I'm so excited. I've never said I'm excited to see a guard apart from Quentin Nelson.
And for Houston, my reason for giving Houston 9 and 7 is because Houston are always 9 and 7.
Yeah,
literally
they are.
Always 9 and 7.
I've got them going 10 and 6.
Same.
The thing that worries me about Houston too is JJ Watt and Deshaun Watson coming back should be huge, but Lord knows that
Houston
should be. We know JJ Watt at some point. He's probably going to get injured again.
Oh yeah.
Probably going to go packing on his way. As far as Deshaun Watson's concerned, he threw way too many interceptions in the brief time that we got to see him last year. It's going to be tougher this year because it's not going to be the whole, what's Deshaun Watson all about? We already know. We've not seen a full season, but we do know. And
but
I think the reason I'm so
AFC
big on
general is
Houston
tougher.
is because I think DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson demonstrated a connection which is very rare.
Add Will Fuller to that.
Add Will Fuller to that.
He looked like a different
basically just
with
rapid, yeah. And as soon as Watson wasn't playing, he dropped off completely.
Yeah.
Their running game is relatively consistent. It's Lamar Miller and Deontay Foreman.
Who's the tight end? Is it Fidushewicz or whatever? Yeah. I'm thinking Fiduciary duties. It's not that.
Fidowicz or something like that. Yeah, he's not bad. That offense is more than good enough to win, as was demonstrated last year. And once that defense gets their key players back, I think AJ Boye, the loss of him, hit them hard last season. But equally,
didn't last season they lose Watt, Clowney, and Merciless?
Yeah.
So I mean,
not Clowney. They lost Watt and Merciless. Yeah.
They lost someone else as well.
One of their oh no, that's Dwayne Brown.
Either way, like you would hope that they don't hemorrhage players.
Don't get me wrong. I've got them at 10 and 6, just missing out. But I think they still have a couple of years yet to kind of refine things. They've got great pieces. But
I have them in at 9. I mean, we're consistently around the same record. I have them in at 9 and 7.
Yeah, I have them in at 10 and 6.
I have them in 10 and 6.
I think it's then the question mark is then what does Tennessee do?
Because some of us are big on Tennessee and some of us are.
I think I've been unnecessarily harsh on Tennessee while unnecessarily favourable to Indy.
See, in the spirit of being honest, I've been unnecessarily harsh on Jacksonville. They should win the division.
In fairness, though, to Tennessee, it's a similar thing to what we were saying earlier. You expect, it's Tennessee, they're going to do bad. But for the last 2 or 3 years, they keep coming back and they somehow keep
It's interesting because Mariota has been getting worse and worse every year. But equally, Tennessee have been getting better and better.
Yeah.
Might it be the sort of typical thing where if you have one really good player, you just overly rely on them and expect them to do
Mario's not a good player, but
new head coach as well this year.
Yeah, which is interesting because they fired Mike Mularkey even though he got the team into the playoffs. It seems like a kind of like we're bored of being good and we want to be great kind of sack.
Maybe the attitude was that they taking them as far as they can.
Yeah.
Well, like to use the basketball as a comparison, Toronto had a 50-odd win season and sacked their coach because they went out in the playoffs. Yeah. So it's not without precedent that teams do that.
And they've brought in it's the defensive coordinator from Texans, Mike Vrabel, and they've brought in the offensive coordinator from the Rams, who was learning under McVay, but obviously now has play calling responsibility because Vrabel is a defensive-minded coach. And I think they could, if they go well, if we see Tennessee rolling out some kind of watered-down version of a McVay offense, by God, the AFC South is going to be exciting because you've got Watson basically running the pitch every time Tennessee come on. You've got Tennessee maybe actually catering a game plan around Mariota rather than forcing him to be some kind of pocket passing non-entity. And then you've got Jacksonville, who whenever Blake Bortles steps on the pitch, I always get excited because something will happen, whether it's a 60-yard touchdown or a 60-yard pick six, or or a 20-yard scramble and then gets clattered when he's out of bounds. Blake Bortles makes things happen. And then Indianapolis, there's the unknown factor of Andrew Luck. This is maybe the first time I've ever been excited for an AFC division.
You can see like the intrigue in this division.
Yeah.
I'm just not convinced. I think the big thing is I'm not convinced by Tennessee, and you guys aren't as convinced by Houston.
I'm
quite convinced by Houston. Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm relatively equally convinced between Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Houston.
Tennessee's defense is just stacked, though. It is stacked. The 2 top players they picked in the draft, defensive players. I thought Landry in the second round was a steal anyway.
Yeah.
You add Butler to that. They what's the safety called that called out?
Kevin Byard.
Yeah. I mean, he called out Brady, and then Brady did terrible things to him. But
he had a great season.
They've got a young team. He led the league in
interceptions for a while.
But they've got a really exciting team. I don't know.
I think for me it was seeing I looked through Jacksonville's schedule wasn't as bad as anticipated. I just have them winning. I don't like 13-3.
13-3.
I'm happy to put Jacksonville at 1.
Yeah.
And then
Houston.
I think
I just don't see a world at the moment where Tennessee come below Houston.
Yeah.
But then again, Houston could just come out all out and win more than we think.
Which I think they'll do.
I'm looking at it as like, despite the small sample size, who do I have more faith in, Watson or Mariota? I'm like, he's played 6 games.
To that point, do I actually have faith in Bill O'Brien to put together a consistent season? And I don't know if I do.
Well, it'll be 9-7. He's always 9-7.
Yeah, but that's consistent, but that's not good enough.
Consistently 9-7.
Well, I mean, isn't
9-7?
9-7 get you the playoffs in the AFC.
9-7 with Brock Osweiler.
And Tom Savage.
Good God.
Dark times.
Whoa. What we'll do is we know Jacksonville are 1, we know Indianapolis are 4. It's between Tennessee and Houston. So I'll do a 3, 2, 1 countdown and we'll say who's at 2. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Tennessee. Oh,
well, that's
for God's sake.
I mean, that was always going to happen. We've already said that.
Yeah, I know. I'm happy to put Houston at 2 and Tennessee at 3, I think.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. Sorry, Max.
I feel like because it's close, it could go either way. But.
Yeah. Okay, so our final thing for the AFC South is Jacksonville 1, Houston 2, Tennessee 3, and Indianapolis 4. So you've got a couple minutes left. So I'll just quickly run you through all our predictions so that these can be memorialised and
probably tweeted,
recanted. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I have worked later, but after that, I have the time. So the AFC East, we've got New England 1. Did we side Buffalo 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Buffalo 2, Miami 3, Jets at 4. The AFC North, we've got Pittsburgh 1, Baltimore 2, Cleveland 3, and Cincinnati at 4. AFC West, we decided Chargers 1.
Did we? Denver 1?
No, we definitely decided Chargers
1. Yeah.
I think this was the one I was upset about, wasn't it?
Chargers 1, Denver 2, Kansas 3, and Oakland 4. Then AFC South, Jacksonville 1, Houston 2, Tennessee 3, and Indianapolis at 4. Who are the playoff teams then, quickly? You've got 10 seconds each to just list them off. Liam, you're up first.
Shall I go first? I've got them here.
Okay,
Jacksonville, New England, Pittsburgh, Denver, Houston, Cleveland.
Right, hang on, but you haven't included the division winners from the AFC West.
Yes, I have.
Because based on our predictions.
What,
not on your individual predictions.
Oh, okay.
So the 4 you need New England, Jacksonville, Chargers, and Pittsburgh, and then the 2 wild cards will come from
Houston.
Well, it's basically going to be Houston, Tennessee, Denver, Kansas, or Baltimore.
Well, take Baltimore off, and there's my 4. Based on
Houston,
my
Denver. Okay, I'll go Houston, Denver.
Houston, Denver, Max.
New England, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Chargers, Denver, and I'm going to have to change my initial prediction from Tennessee to Houston if Houston beats Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I'm not comfortable about that.
New England, Jacksonville, Chargers, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Houston. I'm saying it's going to be the AFC South becomes the new NFC South and produces 3 playoff teams.
I go Houston and the Chargers. Yeah, Houston Chargers.
No, Chargers are already in.
Oh, yeah, we
Chargers
got
are
winning,
already in,
haven't they? Yeah, because I disagreed profusely.
You can have Denver if you want.
Denver, then.
Yeah, give it Denver.
Yeah,
Or
Yeah, there we
Kansas.
go. That'll do it.
Yeah. All right. So the 6 playoff teams then, to quickly recap. Oh, God, we 30 seconds left. New England, Jacksonville, Houston. Oh, I mean, yeah, we all did individual ones. I won't try and come up with a group one. That's it for this week's show. There are your predictions. Come back next week where we'll be doing the NFC. That should be exciting and thrilling. Yeah, nothing else to say really, is there? Thank you very much for listening. We've got 10 seconds left. Any final messages?
Have a
shout out
great
your mum?
day.
Yeah, have a great day, everybody.
Hey,
See you
Mum.
later. All the best.
I'm on radio.
Bye bye.
See ya.